Blast Express was one of our initial inspirations. Yes. So.
That's awesome. I have a question. I know that this class is so focused on design, but I was kind of wondering, you know, if I'm thinking about the aesthetic of the game or the gameplay itself, would I want to look at some of those examples that you gave, or is there stuff that you could have, or maybe have on other slides or could have put in with the slides in this presentation to give me more of a sense of what it's like to actually play the game?
I think we do take elements from all of our references. So Gone Home, for example, is all about exploring this environment, writing a whole story from the environment, and that's something we're really interested in. Also, X30 Flights of Loving is all about exploring this kind of interactive movie vignette, like stills of these environments. For each of the vignettes, the idea behind them is we get to explore different gameplay. So for example, the first one that we've done so far is all about wandering through this apartment of this guy who killed himself, and you walk through. The story basically bleeds out of the walls, whereas the second one is all about I'm pretending to be a writer, trying to write this story, and I'm being interrupted by something another, and it's kind of putting you in the character.
So one of our goals here is that we want to have the players empathize with these characters that we've created. And so for each of these vignettes, we create game mechanics that sort of affect the player and make them feel like they are, or they understand how that character's, responds to everything and their attitude. So we've currently got 2 of these vignettes already complete, and we'd just like to continue on with that.
My only concern is that I think you underestimate how much your cash costs are going to be to do your PR even on a small basis. And even if you're submitting to festivals, if you're a finalist and you want to use that as a means to promote your title, well, for 2 people to travel to San Francisco is probably the cheapest of the bunch. Or indicate in Culver City because it's you can pay
I'll have to pay like a nickel to carry past my shoe or that.
There you go. But any place else, then the other larger festivals are going to require some costs, and I still think that you need to spend money on hiring a contract PR person to navigate getting wide publicity. Half the Sky didn't happen just because they were there. All of that was their fun. But, they paid a lot of money to get something out of it.
Well, I know from my experience, my brother ran a similarly sized operation. He did all the marketing himself, and I'm pretty sure they didn't bother actually sinking that much money in there. They also didn't even do festivals, so we're probably relying on a lot of word of mouth. But as an indie game experience, it's what we'd be aiming for.
What?
So it's a hard question to answer, but what do you think the need is that you're filling in that player experience? Why will people play this game?
For the same reason they play a lot of our references, which is to play a new experience. Our focus is not on winning or losing, really. The whole purpose of the game is you're discovering the background of the relationship to kind of embrace the good and bad of relationships. And although games have talked about relationships a lot, I think the indie space has started digging into them further. And I think the story that we're trying to tell is unique in that respect. It's not telling the story about this relationship that combusted because this person cheated on that person and spent all their money in Vegas. It's telling the story about just this normal relationship that eventually crumbled under its own weight. And how do you explore that space and how do you get people to reflect on their own lives because of this really relatable story.
So I loved his question and I loved your comment question because when you start talking about the walls, like you're selling emotion. I mean, you know how hard that is to come up with the emotion to sell, and you guys already have the emotion to sell, and you don't mention a damn word about it the entire time you pitch the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a very powerful idea, and when you start talking about the visual imagery that I don't know what it all means, but I mean, one of my questions was, what did I learn about myself or my relationship, whatever relationship I'm in? Because you don't speak to that at all. Then you guys start talking about the story, you've got 2 vignettes figured out. I mean, you have a lot more to say that isn't in this pitch, that needs to be in this pitch, because I think it could be a lot more powerful than it is, because when you start talking it is, but before it sounds and it looks fairly minimalist, and you've got so much already figured out, you need to put that on paper somehow so that the people seeing this understand that and take that away from it, and then can ask you questions, because I feel like what you guys have could be emotionally powerful, and that's really hard to find, and that's really easy to sell in the sense that if people relate to it, they're going to get something out of it emotionally, they're going to spend money on it. I'm not into the drama, but my wife spends a lot of time during the week watching drama.
Sharing drama with you.
Yeah. Well, that's manufacturing drama.
Well, it's not that.
But I think, like I said, once you guys start talking about it, I get excited about what the idea is, because what you conceptualized is cool, but I didn't understand exactly as both these guys, I know it's on design focused, but there needs to be more of the designers to know what the heck I'm actually gonna experience and why it's gonna be cool or scary or sad or frightening or happy or whatever, all the above.
I'd make one more note to that, because that's it, absolutely right. I mean, you even show like sort of the flow of emotions in a slide or something, but the other thing to think about too, is location. You know, what's special about this particular location? Because one of the things about games, especially adventure games, is about exploring a certain space. When I was working at Last Express, I came up with a great idea for doing a game, prison break game, right? And Jordan said to me, who wants to spend, 20 hours of gameplay in a prison? So you may want to think about that.
Prisoners. You've got a fixed audience there.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Someone like it.